Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
Bird Gang, welcome back in. Another episode of Cardinals Corner right here. I'm Tyler Drake. That's Lauren Koval. And let's just say it was a very, very busy week. NFL draft. We got some P2 comments on Kyler Murray. Just a lot of moving and shaking. Oh, and there's also jersey numbers already out too. So before we get fully into all of that, how are we doing, Lauren?
It's nice to see you, Tyler.
Yes,
We've
good to see
had
ya.
a busy few weeks. The last time I saw you, there was a very different man sitting in this
Very
seat.
large man.
Yes. Then,
Kelvin Beachum, shout out to him.
Yes, shout out. He could be our third host anytime
Always.
he wants.
Oh,
When he's
yeah.
done playing football, come on over
He
here.
basically is already.
He kind of is. At this rate, he's on the show just about as frequently as we are during the offseason. But I also enjoyed the social media comments towards you guys looking of similar size, sitting in the chairs. When they were like, oh, could Tyler play linebacker? Could he,
Right guard?
Could he do this? No, I can confirm.
I don't think I could either, sadly. I can hit it about 320, though, off the tee, if that helps.
That's a totally different sport, so it won't help you here, but appreciate it.
Yes. So how did your week go? Because mine was very wild. Let me tell you.
Well, there's a lot to go over, starting live with draft night because, wow, we kind of thought it was going to be a crazy draft, and it delivered, but not necessarily in the sense I think we all thought it would.
Yeah, well, my week of the draft started out with a broken pinky toe, done in the worst way possible by slamming it into the dishwasher. So, a great way to start, grounded through. And then I woke up with my eye just apparently cut or something. So, luckily we're all good. We're back. We made it through.
It looks a lot better
Oh my
today than it
gosh.
did.
I looked like a zombie for a couple days,
Yeah, you did a little
which
bit.
might be why we prolonged the podcast another day.
Which might be why we're visiting you a little bit later in the week than normal.
Yes, but we made it through. We're all good. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with jersey numbers
Let's
because
go
it's
with jersey
fresh,
numbers.
it's new.
Perfect. Okay. Jersey numbers are out. Let's go through the ones that are there, starting with the veterans. Baron Browning going to number 5 from number 53. Jacoby Brissett. Here's one that we're probably going to have to talk about for a minute. Number 7. And for those at home, that was Kaiser White's number. So for everybody thinking that there could be a reunion, that's just another step in the wrong direction right there. Big time.
I think that just shows there's no reunion. We'd suspected it for a few weeks, and this is confirmation.
Yep. Josh Sweat, number 10. Akeem Davis Gaither, number 27. Michael Walker, number 43. Dalvin Tomlinson, number 94. Justin Jones, number 98, because he switched from number 93, which goes back to Calais, which all is right in the world.
As it should. Like you said, as it should.
Yep.
Like, it's his number when he is retired and put up in the Ring of Honor.
The number.
Right there.
Yep. So perfect there. Love that. And then we go on to the draft class so far. And I will say the standout number last because this one's standing out a lot to me. Walter Nolan III, number 97. Hayden Connor, number 58. Jordan Birch, 52. Cody Simon, 50. Keaton Crawford, 36. Denzel Burke, 29. And second round pick, home run hit, according to ESPN's Field Yates, Will Johnson with number 0. If that's not a number to represent how mad you are possibly of falling and what you want to show people, I think that's the perfect setup for what he wants to show people.
And my immediate thought when you had read this off camera to me was, that's like the Ohio State captain number.
Yeah, shouldn't it be Cody Simon's number? The block O?
Instead, a Michigan corner gets it. So it's just kind of amusing, especially with how the last few drafts have gone for Monty Austin-Fort in terms of like drafting a lot of those Power 5 guys. If you even want to dive in, like more specific to that, Big Ten guys. I mean, like half the draft classes Ohio State, Michigan. Last year we got Illinois, then we got Rutgers. So there's just a wide variety of it. So the idea also, like, you're going to go in and take the number that is so significant to Ohio State as a Michigan guy on a team full of Ohio State guys, it just kind of makes me chuckle.
Well, then it takes me back to last year when with the LSU number of 18, that was BJ's. We all know the lore behind 18 at LSU, and gave that to the Ohio State guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. So yeah, just funny how that all works out. Obviously, college numbers in college, they mean a lot more.
A lot more. I'll also say, as you read through the list where we first started, I'm still, and it's so old school of me that I just like cannot fundamentally adjust, but the idea that you can have any number now, where it's not like you used to look up and go, oh, you know, the teens, you're a wide receiver or you're
a quarterback or
whatever you want. And now as you're like reading through them, I'm like, what do you mean a linebacker can have that number? But that's like the old curmudgeony man in me.
Yeah, I get what you mean though. It's like the old school like 81, 80 for wide receivers. I mean, Terrell Owens, Jerry Rice, those are the type of like, those are the names that, I mean, growing up in Northern California, those numbers were everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a wide receiver number. But yeah, now it's the teens. Go get a 0 if you want. Whatever you want to do.
Really, whatever number you want, you can have it.
Yes. Well, speaking of having whatever number you want and having it, Cardinals have 7 numbers from the draft. So let's turn straight into that, get into the nuts and bolts of what the Cardinals did in the 2025 draft, which has gotten a lot of high marks from a lot of different analysts, especially what they did in the second round with taking Will Johnson. So real quick, first round, number 16 overall, Walter Nolan III. Defensive tackle, Ole Miss. Second round, Michigan cornerback Will Johnson, number 47 overall. Huge drop. Could be the steal of the draft from what a lot of people are saying. Then you go to the third round. Oregon pass rusher Jordan Birch. Fourth round, Ohio State linebacker Cody Simon. Fifth round, Ohio State cornerback Denzel Burke. Sixth round, finally an offensive lineman, offensive player, Texas guard Hayden Conner. And seventh round, Nevada safety Keaton Crawford. So right away, my thing is only one trade. That was a rather boring NFL draft for Monty Osfort. Not only was there fewer players than there has been in the past 2 years, fewer trades. And you even said it was funny how he's like, I was getting shakes by the fifth round. We had to make a deal eventually, and they did, but just to get into the sixth and end up getting Hayden Conner. But I thought that was a very interesting part of that because I think a couple of us thought, yeah, they're going to start wheeling and dealing soon. And they stuck and picked, and they clearly liked who they had.
We had expected it a little bit before the draft. Maybe they trade down. We never thought that they would trade up in this draft. There wasn't like
no way.
One guy they were clamoring to have or really attached to. With that being said, Monty said after the draft, he goes, yeah, I didn't trade down because we're a really full team.
Yeah.
We're a really packed roster, and I don't need to pick up more draft picks. That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to simplify what we currently have on our roster, which is such a simple explanation for why not to trade down.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
Well, and you got to look at it too, is the rebuild, revamp, whatever you want to call it, is at that third stage now, and this should be kind of the next step of we've filled the roster with rookies the last 2 years. We played a bunch of rookies. We still have 21 rookies on the roster, or 21 draft picks on the roster. Now you get into this where there's premium talent. They went out there and made a lot of additions outside of the building. You bring those guys in, these rookies that you've had to force feed them into the lineup, that's not really going to be the case anymore. And the guys that you've brought in the last 2 years are taking those next steps forward to where they're not really having that liability of a first-year player. So it's less is more, really. I mean, you really have to look at it that way. It's like, oh, man, they could have brought this guy. But like you said, there's just not roster spots. And as we saw yesterday, I mean, Bernhard Seikovits, who has been with the team since 2021, practice squad, has been on this podcast a couple of times. He and Matthew Jones got released. And I don't think they're coming back. Like, I know Bernhard has that international player pathway program. That's how he got here. But I think they're going to end up using that on the other Austrian they brought along in Valentine Sen. So tough business, but that just shows you, I think, that there's going to be more roster churning coming soon with some names that are pretty prevalent, I think, that we've seen the last couple of years for sure.
And to your point about the past few drafts, it's wow, here they have 12 draft picks. And yeah, we have a lot of spots we got to fill on this roster. We're not feeling great about it, and we're in the early stages of a rebuild. So now we're really drafting rookies, not only to draft rookies, but to literally have physical bodies on this roster that you feel like you can build around. Okay, move past that to the next stage. We're somewhere in the middle. You know, we need bodies on this team, but we also need talent. So that's what you start to look at. And then the past few years, you're really simplifying. This is a position of need, or this is a really talented guy, like Will Johnson with that second round pick. He's really talented. Will he pan out because of all of his injuries? It's hard to know. If he does, yes, you just grab the steal of the draft. If he doesn't, you also have a packed cornerback room to fall back on.
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Before we get into the crowded rooms, because there's more than just cornerbacks now, let's give me your most surprising pick, because I think we're both going to go with the same person here, and it's Will Johnson in the second round, just because of where he went, the potential that he has that you just mentioned. I mean, the guy's a pick 6 waiting to happen. Just can he stay on the field? And from all indications, he said he's healthy. I know there's been some reports from Ian Rappaport saying that, knee swelling, knee issues were a red flag for teams, but it seems like Monty Osfort, he said it himself, like they were good with the evaluation. And as we've seen in previous years, Garrett Williams, Michael Wilson, they'll take flyers on these guys that are coming off injuries because they see the potential. And Michael Wilson, I think, could take another step, but he's done well in the role that I think they've started him out in. Garrett Williams, oh my gosh, he's one of their best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback on the roster, and is the nickel guy for years to come. So given the track record of the Cardinals, I'm not so iffy on is he going to be healthy, because we've already seen that they've done their due diligence on other guys coming off injuries.
I wrote Will Johnson's draft profile for Arizona Sports, and in the time writing that draft profile, I spoke to a few guys who cover Michigan football and just asked them, what do you think of this? And one of them that really stood out to me, a line that he had said, was that we didn't know during last season that Will Johnson was as hurt as he was. We didn't know he had a knee injury to start off. We didn't know that he ended up having the turf toe injury until a few games after that had happened, because he's really quiet and he really keeps to himself, but he's incredibly professional and focused and football driven. So trying not to let those...
That sounds like Marvin Harrison Jr.
I know, doesn't it? Quiet,
fits the
keeps
mold.
to himself, but is so driven for his passion to play football that maybe these injuries that ended up adding up for him last season, he thought, I can brush this under the rug, or it won't be as important as people are making it out to be, so I'm not going to bring it to everybody's attention. And I think that's kind of summarizes the play that Will Johnson has, because when he's out on the field, he's incredible.
He is a walking highlight reel. He really is. Like,
truly.
All of the tape that I've seen, it's just like, how did he so instinctually just know that?
Yeah.
And that's a credit to him in the film room, him just working on his craft. I mean, assistant GM Dave Sears talked about how, the pick 6s are there, but he can go toe to toe with just about anybody.
And if there was a holdup from any of them about Will Johnson, was the Big Ten is known for big and powerful wide receivers, not necessarily incredibly quick wide receivers. If you're looking for quickness, you kind of start to look towards the Big 12, the SEC, even the ACC to some degree. The Big 12 or the Big 10, is more about just physical bodies. And can Will Johnson keep up with some of the more speedy wide receivers in the NFL? Because he hasn't necessarily been tested in that way.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, there is a social media video going around from a little while ago where Will Johnson has a framed photo of him intercepting the ball from Marvin Harrison Jr. that's hanging in his house, and his mom's walking around and is like such a proud football mom. Like, yes, this hangs in our home. Look over here. So we know he can go up against the top tier talent. He went up against it at Michigan. I mean, just look back at the guys from Michigan who have been drafted.
Yep.
It's incredible. So as long as he can stay healthy, I'm excited to see what he can do. And also, if it doesn't pan out, could you take a risk in the second round this year in the draft?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And here's the other thing, too. This dude is going to be the biggest person in that room. 6'2", 202 right now. I mean, the guy closest to him is Elijah Jones at 6'2", 184, friend of the show. But that alone, just knowing you've got this kind of force on the outside now. And I think Max Melton's coming up, and he's going to be another big impact player there too. But you look at Will Johnson, he stays on the field. I mean, why isn't he going to be a starter?
There's no excuses.
Exactly.
Especially, as we've already discussed, this is a crowded room, but this is also a room where we've got a lot of breakout candidates in it. We're looking around going, Max, can this be your year? JG highly talks about the jump from year to year,
yep.
especially this one being so important for them. Can we see Will Johnson stay healthy and stay out on the field? Will we see somebody assert themselves as that cornerback one that we just talked about all the time last year? Will somebody else jump up and do that for this team? And we talked a lot about the senior leadership of Sean Murphy-Bunting. Is that something that we still feel like we need to see?
Yeah, I think we've got a we've got a veteran now in Garrett Williams who I think could be that guy who kind of takes the mantle there. But yeah, getting into the crowded rooms, cornerback, inside linebacker, defensive line. Those are the three, easily. And cornerback, there's going to be some names that are going to be on the cutting room floor. And one of them, I think, is, you got to think, Keitrell Clark, just because of how he's kind of fallen out of grace there. And he got some run last year, but not to the point of what he got as a rookie. There's clearly something going on there. So he's a cut candidate for me.
Would that be the first Monty guy to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And then inside linebacker, you just brought in 2 outside signings. You've got Cody Simon, Mac Wilson, Owen Papo. I mean, the initial 53-man roster only had 3 guys in that room.
Yeah.
Who's going? Is that another Monty guy in Owen?
Maybe.
Possibly. Then you go to defensive line. I mean, I think the 2 names there are the outside guys from last year, and Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols, because Darius Robinson's going to be around, Walter Nolan's going to be around, Calais Campbell's going to be around, Dalvin Tomlinson's going to be around. It's just there's a lot of bodies. Our Dante Stills, LJ Collier, like there's your 6 right there.
That's the room I'm most looking towards as we approach OTAs, and I don't want to say approach training camp, but training camp, because there are so many bodies in that room, but you want to hold on to everybody in case somebody gets injured, and then you know that you can sub them into that kind of role. But let's say nobody gets injured, and you got to start the season.
Some big names are going to get cut.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be it's going to be the ESPN's Adam Schefter report of Cardinals make a big release of this name. And it's going to be that kind of thing this year.
It'll be the first time in a very long time where we're actually keeping eyeballs on this roster going, somebody that we like or somebody that we think is talented and has done a lot for this team in some role is gone.
Yep. Which is just the name of the business. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all shakes out, especially, like you said, if there isn't at those injury kind of windows that can help manipulate it a little bit. And I don't want to say it like that, but that's really what it is. So when we look at the draft, let's look beyond the first 2 picks. Who is your most likely starter?
Cody Simon. And not only because I think you can summarize this whole draft in a way of like, Nick Rallis, enjoy your like new fun toys.
Enjoy your enjoy your full off season of new toys, because that's really what it was.
Yes.
Drew Petzing, here's Jacoby. Yeah, and Hayden Connor.
Hey, have fun. And it's amusing because for a team where we talked about, can the defense keep this team in games?
On paper, I'd say yes now.
Can they just do enough? Because the offense will figure it out. That ended up not happening at all last season. We basically had the reverse of that. Now we're starting to look at this and go, okay, the defense is going to keep you in games. Can the offense?
Yeah, exactly. It's here you go, offense. Show us what you can do now. I mean, that's really what I think this is showing is you've got the pieces in place. Go show us now. I mean, outside of right guard, which could be Isaiah Adams, could be somebody. Maybe Will Hernandez shows back up. That's what I think is going to happen, but who knows?
I hope you're right. I could use more musical stylings from Will Hernandez.
Okay. Yes. So for me, I'm going to go... took my answer. I'm going the same thing just because of what Monty said and how Kazier's not on this team. There's no Mike Backer established right now. We know Mac Wilson. He's going to be a pass rush in full. He's going to be working on the inside. But beyond him, there could be somebody that could take that green dot, and it could very well be him just based on what Monty said about how cerebral, instinctive, and the mental aspect of his game is so much there. And he had the green dot last year at Ohio State and has been a captain. And even Cody Simon said, like, that's one of the biggest things is having a good head on your shoulders to be able to go through all this chaos. So I really think that maybe not right away, but that's the heir apparent to what they want in the Mike Backer spot.
And he's come into a role where the Cardinals have a little bit of an opening compared to some of the other positions that they drafted later in the draft. Those guys looking more towards depth guys at this roster. But now you start to go, okay, you can show us what you can do. Also, coming over from Ohio State, there's just an inherent benefit to it, and Monty spoke on it, but coming from such a prevalent program and now switching into the NFL, that transition eases itself a little bit more than if he came from another school.
The Ohio State Cardinals.
Truly.
They keep on rolling.
That's what we're getting towards.
The Arizona Buckeyes.
Paris sat right in that seat at this point a while ago and had shared with us, well, I'm trying to get Marvin Harrison Jr. here. No, now I'm just trying to get every Ohio State man possible to this roster. So I don't know if he really has his ear to the ground and is just like, Monty, draft the next Ohio State man.
Yep.
But he's doing a good job.
Just text him a picture of the Buckeye.
Yeah, he's doing a good job at it.
All right, so let's take a very odd turn away from the draft and head over to the golf course where Patrick Peterson had some comments about trying to reestablish his relationship with Kyler Murray. How'd that make you feel?
Like he sort of got his moment in the spotlight announcing the Cardinals pick and coming back a little bit more to prevalence and using that opportunity to try to right some wrongs.
Yep.
Because towards the end of his career, he said some ugly things. About Kyler, about the team, about the Cardinals, just generally speaking.
Yep.
And all of that being said, it now felt like his opportunity to
own up.
Yeah, to own up to it and try to right a wrong. And overall, like, that's my feeling about it. It's just sort of like,
Okay, so a little more context. He joined Up and Adams yesterday, I believe, and this is what he said. Read you the full quote so you know out of context. There's no relationship there, but there will be. When he was talking about Kyler Murray, I know I was a little bit outspoken when I did say certain things. I was kind of in the wrong. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm a man and he's a man, and I definitely want to make that better because at the end of the day, that was just talk out of frustration. That could have been something that me and him could have been able to talk about. So yeah, listen. Living the full back and forth that this was not too long ago. It was definitely needed to be said, especially if Patrick Peterson is on this kind of redemption tour with the Cardinals. Like, you've got to, this is the next step. I appreciate it. I also think that it's up to Kyler whether he wants to accept it or not. I mean, he went out there and fully went in. Like, I mean, what he said on his podcast, Kyler Murray doesn't care about nobody but Kyler Murray. And it's just things like that and how he tried to clarify and said his mannerisms are alarming and all of that. So that was, it was an instant flashback for me just living it. I mean, Patrick Peterson's tenure as a Cardinal as it ended was not great. So you've got all the trade back and forth. You've got the suspension. You've got the Kyler Murray drama. So yes, right your wrongs, move forward. I think there's always time for people to own up to their mistakes. And I think he ended it right with saying, yes, he is seeing a different Kyler Murray. He's been doing a much better job of his body language, his leadership, and it's just going to continue to make that team that much better because they follow his every move. He just has to understand that. I did think it was interesting, too, that he left a note in his locker about how he has to lead the team the right way for them to be successful, basically. So I guess my ultimate take is you guys should have just went in the locker room, hashed it out like men, like he kind of said, and been done with it. I don't even think you didn't have to get to this point. So good on him to own up. We'll see what Kyler does, if he says anything at all. But that's one more, I think, off of his to-do list of redemption.
Yes, and I think that's a great way to phrase it also because these are two players, one of them who's still playing for the franchise, and one of them who was heralded in the franchise for a very long time and put together some incredible seasons. I mean, that photo that then went around of the bench of the no-fly zone.
Yep.
Like, wow, those teams were good and talented, and he's a reminder of that
Yeah.
specifically. And Kyler Murray being the quarterback and the head of this team now, but also being kind of divisive amongst the fan base.
Yeah.
Not in a similar way, but being divisive in the sense of, are we in on him?
Yeah.
Are we out? Is he a franchise quarterback? And it's two guys who immediately attract not only local attention, but national attention when they try to say something. And you as Patrick Peterson have to know that you're going to bring national attention the second that you say something like that.
Yep.
So I agree with you. This felt like a little bit more of a behind the scenes moment.
Yep.
Just go talk to him. You know you can if you feel like this is something that you have to do. That being said, I'm glad that he opened up the door to that.
Yeah.
And whatever Kyler decides to do, I agree with.
Yep. That's kind of how I feel too. All right. We're going to end this beautiful episode with one more outside thing, and it comes in the tight end department. No, not Psycho. Hope he does well. Hope he lands on his feet. We've got to talk about Trey McBride no longer being the highest paid tight end. That was a very fast run. Not even a month.
Not even a month.
Not even
and
a
it's
month.
over, and it's taken from you by a rival.
A rival who also just signed DJ Humphries.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, maybe he'll never play for them. Maybe it's just we're keeping you around in case we need you. Because I don't want to see DJ Humphries walk out in a Niners jersey.
No.
No, like just the fan in me is like,
Yeah,
ugh.
it was one of those things of like, okay, you're no longer on my team. You're the enemy now. Like he played for Kansas City last year, but I think a lot more people are like, okay, when he's playing us, he's not a former Cardinal. He's just there on that team.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, Trey McBride no longer the highest paid. Instead, that goes to San Francisco's George Kittle by like $100,000.
Yeah.
So that's something. So yeah,
That's an agent move of like, I rep the highest paid tight end in the NFL.
Yep. So McBride, 4 years, $76 million. Kittle, 4 years, $76.4 million. But here's the funny thing is guaranteed money. McBride has 43 compared to Kittle's 40. So I think I'd probably be more in that. If we're going to go back and forth and jab a little bit, I'm probably saying, well, at least I got the $3 million extra guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have the 100,000. You can have the title as highest paid. I've got the $3 million.
Yeah. I would rather be in Trey McBride's shoes than George Kittle's.
Yes. Yes. So, okay, quick rundown before we get out of here. Kittle, $19.1 million a year. McBride, 19. Travis Kelce, 17.125. Hawkinson, 16.5. Dallas Goedert, 14.25. Those are your top 5 paid tight ends. That's honestly some really good value.
Yeah.
Across the board, even Kittle and McBride, like
I was waiting for one of them to jump out at me. You know, like when you go through those quarterback lists, I feel like every year when you sit down right before the season starts and look at the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Kirk Cousins is making what?
Yeah, you're right. Well, he's robbed the NFL. Like truly, I don't know how he's put this together, but he's robbed them.
Oh, jeez.
But then when you look at the list, that tight end list did not feel offensive at all to me.
No.
Like I was like, yeah. That's where you should be.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly. And it's just another. I mean, I'm sure that they both reached out and hit each other up and said congrats. And who knows? They'll probably be at the tight end university here soon enough. But yeah,
I'll
cool
see you
story.
2 times next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yep, Trey McBride
And Cam Ward and Travis Hunter.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of first round picks coming to State Farm and on the road too. So going to be very interesting. Maybe they can have a better luck against rookie quarterbacks than they did last year.
Oh, hope so. Because we
Yeah.
were excited about that last year.
The
And
Jaden one was rough.
well, we expected it to be rough, but it was a lot rough. I expected it to be rough.
I didn't
but
think it was
maybe,
gonna be that bad.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think it was going to be that bad either.
That's
No.
the pass. As JG
Yeah,
said, he
no.
gets anxious when he looks at the pass. So
Yeah,
we'll just-
May 14th. We're looking ahead to May 14th when the NFL schedule drops.
Yes, that'll be a fun time. And next week, I think we should probably dive into what's left on the agenda for the Cardinals, at least roster construction. Obviously, some releases are going to have to happen.
Yeah.
But there's also probably going to be some names out there to consider too, especially at wide receiver, because that's still a position that I think that they wouldn't hurt to add another body there.
No, and how worried are we about the offense now that it wasn't the focus of the draft? Are we worried? Do we have a right to be worried?
We'll find out next week. And you'll find out next week. So be sure to keep it locked on YouTube, where you can find us every week. AZ Cards Corner. Follow Lauren at Koval_Lauren. Follow me at TDrake for sports. Follow the show at AZ Cards Corner, like I just said. And yeah, next week we'll dive in a little bit more, see some more of the questions that are going into the next phase of free agency before we get into OTAs, minicamp, training camp, all that fun stuff.
All the camps.
Yeah, and we'll be right here to bring you the latest. So we'll see you next time.